There are more 40-point games in the league this year already. 88 games where there have been 40 points or more in the 2022-23 season. We already had one. We had one the other night where Donovan Mitchell scored 71. We had one last night where Kevin Durant scored 44 in a losing effort to the Chicago Bulls, snapping the Nets' 12-game winning streak. Tom Haberstroh, I know you follow these things. What do you make? What do you make of the scoring uptick, and is it a good thing for the league going forward?
Yeah, I think it is a good thing for the league going forward because it draws more attention to the superstars. It draws more attention to how talented these giants are. And I say giants because what we're seeing today, more than we have ever in NBA history, is guys like Zion Williamson, Nikola Jokic, Domantas Sabonis, Giannis Antetokounmpo, guys who in other eras would be centers. They're being point guards for their team. And what they're doing is the offense is being revolved around them. Can you imagine, if you will, if Shaq was in this era, Michael Hawley, what he would be like if they decided, hey, let's put the ball in your hands and be like Zion Williamson and be a point guard? Because Shaq, for people who don't remember, he could move. When he was coming up through LSU and Orlando, the guy could run point guard. He had handle, but of course, in an era where they just want to park you on the block and have you post up, he was not being recognized for his breadth of talent and his skill. So what we're seeing now is guys like Zion Williamson don't have to wait for the point guard to get him the ball. He just gets the rebound and goes. And so that's why you're seeing partly why a lot of these scoring totals are so much higher is because guys like Giannis and Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid just start. They don't have to wait and run the offense. They just get the ball and go. So we're getting more space in the NBA, a lot more three-point shooting, and that affords more oxygen for guys like Giannis to get into the paint and Donovan Mitchell to get into the paint. He doesn't have to deal with Rudy Gobert anymore, hogging up the paint. He can just go to the rack and get 71. So we're seeing a lot of just players taking ownership of that possession and scoring in droves.
Okay, so on the flip side, and I like the scoring too. I asked you the question that I knew how I felt about it. I agree with you. I think it's great for the league. I think it's great to showcase talented players and allow them to just display all of their skills. But on the flip side, does it hurt guys like Rudy Gobert? I mean, you've got a specialty. You're a rim protector. We always talk about rim protection. Hey, we got to defend the post. I know you still have to defend the post, but do they lose value? Because if they're starting out on the wings, doesn't that bring more value to wings than it does to traditional fours and fives?
Yeah, it's certainly a lot more demanding on defenders, especially big rim protectors like Rudy Gobert. They replaced Rudy Gobert in Utah with a guy named Walker Kessler, a first-round pick who was a great shot blocker out of Arizona, I believe, and he was essentially brought into the league as like, all right, we'll kind of make you the backup, and then suddenly they realized like we can get 80% of Rudy Gobert with this rookie shot blocker because it's. Rudy Gobert's talent as a rim protector in the playoffs, it just almost becomes obsolete because of the scouting report is just so much more difficult when everyone is studying your skill set, and it just becomes so much more difficult for you to put your imprint on the game. But I will point out this. The rules are so offensively focused. The other night, there was a play in the Golden State Warriors and Knicks game that I want to point out where one of the Warriors players defended a three-point shot closeout on a three-pointer by a Knicks player, and the defender landed like 2 feet inside the three-point arc. But the three-point shooter for the Knicks put his leg out and landed on Ty Jerome, the Golden State Warriors' foot. And because of the rules, not only was Ty Jerome, who went up like this and contested it straight up, but landed 2 feet inside the line, not only was he called for a foul, Michael, he was called for a flagrant foul. And so what message does that send for defenders that are contesting it, landing their feet 2 feet inside the three-point arc, and they're being called for flagrants because it was interpreted as being in the landing zone of the three-point shooter? What that message sends to defenders is, you can't really defend. You can't really defend your guy like you used to, even if it seems legal. It's being very difficult. The onus is being put on defenders more than we have ever seen in the NBA. It's so hard to guard in today's NBA. And I think the trade-off is better for business, more high-scoring affairs. And you know what? If Rudy Gobert isn't going to get as much shine, I think the NBA is going to take that.
Well, Tom, most teams have played about 40, 41 games. Most teams have played half of their schedule so far. Here we are, early January, first week of January. So who's that benefit? In the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference, the way the rules are right now, offensive, favorable toward the offense, favorable to players who are explosive players who can just do their thing anywhere on the court. Which teams are going to benefit the most from that?
Well, I think still, if we're talking about the long run, it's going to have to be two-way players, teams that have the two-way guys, the versatile guys. I still believe in Draymond Green's quote, there are 82-game guys, and then there's 16-game guys. And what he means by that is 16 games to win a championship in the playoffs. You have to be able to play both ends of the floor. And still, I think that in the Eastern Conference, we need to focus more on the Milwaukee Bucks when they get Chris Middleton back. Giannis Antetokounmpo is as good as anybody in the two-way game. It's going to be hard for teams that are so offensively challenged or defensively challenged to hang in the playoffs. So even though we're seeing defense in the regular season be marginalized a little bit, I still think when it comes to the crunch time in the playoffs, the rules are going to change a little bit. And I think the defenders that can own your paint, own your space on the floor are still going to be much, much more beneficial in the long run. Two-way guys, that is the way of the NBA in the playoffs. So like Marcus Smart, even though he just got fined for obscenities directed at an official, I still think guys like that, you need those guys to do the dirty work in the playoffs, even though defense is kind of taking a step back.
Marcus, and saying Marcus Smart got fined for obscenities toward an official is an understatement. He's that guy.
Is that news anymore?
We all know people like this. Yeah, he always takes it like 8 steps further than you think. You're like, oh, wait a minute. If you read his lips, you're like, okay, that's enough. Oh, he said more. Are you threatening people? Are you saying, let's go outside? That's a bunch of this, and I'm going to do this. Like Marcus, when he snaps, he really snaps. But I think every championship team needs a guy like that. Wait, here's a question, and let's figure this out in real time. Tom, when's the last championship team that didn't have a crazy dude? I can't think of one. Like the Warriors, Draymond.
All right, so the
Bucks.
Raptors, the crazy dude on the Raptors, would that be Kyle Lowry when they won it in 2019? I would say maybe.
Oh, yeah. I say Lowry's
he does the things that most players don't want to do. He's taking the charges. He's talking. So Kyle Lowry counts. Yeah, I mean, the Miami Heat had Udonis Haslem. They had Chris Anderson, Birdman. I mean, you have to go back.
Everybody.
I think everybody.
Maybe the Spurs. And the Spurs had several of them. I mean, one year, Steven Jackson was on the Spurs when they won a championship. That was in the early days. But the Spurs,
yeah. Bruce Bowen would get under people's skin, yeah, for sure.
But my favorite Spurs team was their last championship team. And I can't think of a crazy. That was 2014. They beat Miami. They were great. I really loved that team. That was a team that nobody played over in the regular season. Nobody played over 30 minutes per game. I don't think they had a true nutty guy. Maybe Pop. Maybe Popovich qualifies.
Pop.
I don't know.
I think maybe is Boris Diaw considered in that category? I don't think he does. But at San Antonio, they got enough crazy on that coaching staff that I think you're absolutely right that he fulfills that category.
I want to ask you about the Warriors, and starting with, as I put in the feed, my favorite 7 seconds of basketball last night. I'm watching this game, and it's crazy. I'm like, okay, the 10-30, the previously 10-30 Detroit Pistons taking on a Warriors team that has kind of found a little bit of a rhythm. Clay had 54 the other night, and so he's got it going. They got the Pistons at home. They're terrible. They'll beat the Pistons. And they go back and forth in the final 5-6 seconds. Clay hits a 3 and starts doing a little dance. And then Detroit hits a 3 to win it. what do you think about the Warriors? No Steph, and what did you think about that moment last night?
It's great, and it speaks to the idea of parity this season. And even with Stephen Curry out and the injuries that they've suffered, it still is, any given Sunday still in the NBA. I mean, I know that's an NFL term, but it's true in the any given night in the NBA. You can see outcomes like that, and that's true for the Warriors as defending champions. As much moxie and as much talking and trash talking that you see with Klay Thompson, you can still get a guy like Sadiq Bey who just hits an incredible shot. I mean, he barely even touched the ball on the three-pointer, the game winner. It was incredible, and it reminded me of Donovan Mitchell when he purposely misses the free throw, and I didn't even see him touch the ball when he got the rebound and made the putback and fell onto the ground to send it in overtime en route to 71 points. Again, Holly, the skill in today's NBA is outrageous. And when we talk about the space that these guys have and the ability to shoot from long distance, you're going to get a lot of variance, a lot of weird outcomes, a lot of weird. Did you see with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander out, the Oklahoma City Thunder on their home floor put 150 up against the Boston Celtics? And so that's the stuff that's the stuff I'm talking about, where any given night, any given Sunday in the NBA, it's true that we're going to see some crazy outcomes. And a lot of that is because of the three-pointer and the variance of just you make it, you miss it. It's going to be a big variance of outcomes. And so I think when you get hot like that, anything can happen. And I don't know. I mean, this is an interesting debate. Is the NBA at its best when it has a 70-win Warriors team going against a 60-win Cavs team, LeBron versus Stephen Curry? Or is the NBA at its best when there's like 15 title contenders? I would argue that from a business perspective, it's probably better to have, for the national audience, the international audience, to have two superpowers going against each other.
I agree.
But I'm open to ideas. If you think that this parity is a good thing for the league in the long run, or do you think they do need two elite teams going at it?
No, he needs the stars, man. People love the stars. Look at that. All-star voting out today. Who's topping the all-star voting? Oh, no surprises. LeBron James still, and Kevin Durant. Those guys have been around for a long time. There's name value, name recognition. People love that. We love the competitiveness, but I think the people like stars. They love the star power. All right, here's the final thing. Look, Tom, I know you remember in the very early days of the pandemic, think March, April 2020. Early days of the pandemic. I don't want to remember.
Sorry.
I know, but here's the nosy thing we all did when we were introduced to Zoom. Now Zoom is just it's just standard now, but back then, like, what? Zoom? What am I supposed to do? What? My connection? I got Wi-Fi. I'm glitching. All these things happen, but we used to just like peer into people's houses, like what they got going on back there. What's it looking in the background? What's up? What's up? So I'm doing that right now. I see behind you, you have some shoes by the door. Very nice pair of shoes. And slippers, shoes, I don't know. And then you have a doll. What the hell's going on? You got a doll on a chair.
I thought we were talking about all-star votes, and now we're talking about my Anthony Davis Pelican doll right behind my left shoulder.
Of course it's Anthony Davis on his back, injured. Not able to play. Of course that's Anthony Davis. I should have thought of that. I should have thought that was Anthony Davis. You need to put a little blanket over him or something like that, or put a bandage on the doll. Take care of him. How's the doll doing? What, going to be there for like the next 6 to 8 weeks or indefinitely?
Man,
the doll's going to be there indefinitely.
What's funny about that, Holly, is that it's a Pelicans doll from when the All-Star voting a few years ago. They sent me as part of the media a little care package with Anthony Davis, and he's leading Zion Williamson, a current Pelican, by 200,000 votes, I think, for the All-Star, which is kicking Zion out of the starter category. So I think that actually is probably like a little symbol that I think he is laid up, and maybe Zion Williamson needs to get back onto the floor, take that starting spot. And yeah, those are slippers, man. It's like 70 degrees out here in Charlotte. It finally feels like a spring day here. So I kicked those slippers off, and I was like, I don't need those anymore. It's a nice day here. So let me tell you what, man. I thought you were going to talk about star power, but maybe I just need to spend the next 20 minutes giving you a tour of my office here.
Oh, well, next time we got to go. But next time we come on, Tom, we will take a tour of your office. Always great to catch up with you, man. We'll talk with you soon.
Thanks, Holly. Appreciate you making me take off my hat and embracing the ball.
That's right. That's right. We are all about the bald, a brother from another. I'm guessing that our next guest after you, somebody's in queue. I'll bet they're bald. I'm just going to throw it out there. Thanks, Tom.
You got it.